Hey guys, welcome to a Friday video. This is going to be a little bit of a different video today. Typically on Fridays, I like to share story times or perspectives from my view as I take them in hand in a domestic discipline relationship. But on today's video, I actually am going to share with you a clip that I had to cut from the main podcast because it kind of veered off topic a little bit, and that podcast was getting kind of long, so I ended up cutting that clip, but it was so good that I wanted to share it in some capacity, so I decided to share it here. And so in this clip, Coda and I basically talk about how we view the order of a relationship and what our perspective is on how we set up the order within our relationship, how we view his role as being the authority and the leader of our relationship, and how I view my role as being taken in hand and what that means for us. So I really hope you enjoy this. As always, if you do, please like the video, please subscribe. That really helps the channel. And if you want more of what we do have exclusive videos over on Patreon. It really does support the channel when you join our membership there. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this clip.
Now, what about the people that may be watching, especially the taking the hands, that just went, wait a minute, the way he wants it run, the way he would like, what do you say to them that go, well, I don't get a say in this?
The way we view our relationship, and I think the way that is a good way to view your relationship, is that Coda is the authority of our home. He gets to decide how the home is ran. He gets to decide what his preferences are in our home and how things need to be done. That is part of his role as the head of household, is to oversee the entire home. That doesn't mean that I don't get to have an opinion. That doesn't mean that I don't get to have a say. I come to him, I ask him to take things into consideration. I give my opinion. I even sometimes tell him the things that I would really like. He takes all that into consideration, and in his ability to decide and in his ability to kind of foresee the ramifications of those decisions, he makes what he feels is the best decision. He's not perfect. So of course, sometimes those decisions don't end up being what is best. Sometimes things happen that, he doesn't foresee and things kind of fall apart. But I know that he is doing his best. He's not making decisions lightly. He's not doing those things on purpose. Like, he's not purposely making mistakes that are going to cause ramifications for our family and for me and for himself too. Like, he's not doing those things on purpose. And so I can trust his leadership. I can trust him to make those decisions. But yes, at the end of the day, the decision-making part, how he wants his home ran, is his decision. And it is my job to submit to those decisions, to follow those directions, and to support his decisions by doing the footwork that I need to do in order to make those things come to fruition.
We've talked about this on past podcasts, but this right here has to do with what we've talked about before about order. It has nothing to do with value. Both people in this relationship are still valued. And as Aria just said, she gets to have some input and to give me suggestion on how things maybe could run a little smoothly. But for the sake of order, so that things run properly, for the sake of our family being able to, again, have consistency, we have to have the order of the way the household works in place. And so that's why the head of household is entitled to run his household the way he wants and sees fit. Because I promise you, taking in hands that are listening, he does have the best interest in mind of you and your family. And so by not getting in the way and stepping out of the way and letting us just run the household the way we want to, and not causing those issues by getting in the way of that, I promise you that if you're having that right now, if you'll step out of the way and let him run it, you'll see things go a lot more smoothly, because that's the way the order works, and it works well.
And that's not to say that you have your hand in every single aspect of how our home runs.
Right. I'm not a micromanager.
You do delegate a lot of tasks to me. You delegate a lot of things to me for me to have a level of decision making within those areas. But I know at the end of the day, I am responsible to you.
Yes.
For how I am doing those things, how I am using that, I don't want to say authority, but how I'm using that level of decision making that you allow me to have.
Right, right.
I am still responsible to you, and you oversee it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you just say, well, this is your area and I'm never going to check in on you, and
Right.
I'm never.
Of course.
We went through that and things fell apart because
Yes.
that's not
Yes.
you stepping into your role and actually fulfilling your job to run the household.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you say, this is something that I'm giving you to do. And then you check in on me. You say, how is this task going? How are you doing in this? What are the things that you're doing? And then you can give me feedback. You can say, I would really prefer you do it this way. Or you can say, I really like how you're doing that. Keep it up.
And you brought up a really, really good point there. The tendency can be to be at one side of the pendulum or the other. As she was just talking about, there was one point where there wasn't really a whole lot of checking in happening at all. And so even though there were tasks delegated, things were still kind of in chaos because there was no checking in happening at all. But the tendency can also be to go to the other side of the pendulum, which is what you don't want, which is where you're micromanaging every little thing. And especially for your taken in hands, that can feel like that they're being treated like a child, and you don't want that either. You don't want to micromanage them to the point where they feel like they're not trusted, where they're not allowed to be given the opportunity to succeed or fail. So you've got to find that very simple balance, which is head of households. You run your household in such a way that you're making sure you're checking in, you're doing your due diligence to make sure you're holding her to the tasks and the rules, but not micromanaging. And that can be tough to find, but I promise you, as you start down that road, it'll get a little bit easier. And you just have those conversations like we've talked about before to really try to figure out, okay, where are we in the pendulum so that we can get it back to the middle.
Thanks so much for joining us for that. I really hope you enjoyed that clip. Let us know what you thought down below. We really do enjoy hearing your feedback, and we will talk to you guys next week.